This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and today I'm going to go over very quickly UFC 317. My ass is headed out on vacation, and if you've been following the channel long enough, if you give a fuck, I go on vacation a lot, and I'm going to be in the mountains of California for a long time. I might actually miss this card, but I'm excited nonetheless to actually find out the results and or if I can actually get some cell service out there. But give you my very quick and intense thoughts on this card itself, and I'm not going to waste any time. Let's get right into the first fight of the night. We've got Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. Jacoby, he is minus 1,400-ish. Let me actually get exact odds because I'm curious. He's minus 2,500 against Nico Price. Now, there's what they call a high-value loser, and I think that's what Nico Price is. If Nico Price, who is valued at plus 1,200, worth a shot in the case that maybe Jacoby Smith gets a little too full of himself in the striking, but make no mistake, Jacoby Smith does have exquisite wrestling, and he, like Rinya Nakamura, like I say about him, takes personal offense that he has high-level wrestling, that he wants to, like, knock the teeth down your throat, which I expect him to do here. And this is... it's a very casual take, but in reality, it's rooted in the fact that if Nico Price, who is 35 years old, near the tail end of his career, I unfortunately see him fighting more so to put money in his pocket to feed his 12 children, then I'd see him winning more fights. And at this point, fighting a guy like Jacoby Smith with the wrestling background that he can fall back on if needed, I don't see how Jacoby Smith does not win this fight other than him not taking Nico Price seriously. Nico Price, for the price, if you want to take a shot on him to get a finish, either submission or a knockout, more than likely, like a fluke. You know how Nico Price is. You'll put him on his ass, and then he throws one punch from the bottom with no power, and then knocks the dude out. So, to me, Jacoby Smith is the play. I shouldn't even say play. He's the pick. No play for me, though. Give me round number one. I think he just kind of rinses and repeats what he's been doing until they give him harder opposition. Next bout, we've got Jonathan Dinez at heavyweight. He is fighting Alvin Hines. I wonder, minus 355. Now, I couldn't make it to the casino to bet Dinez, but I would have bet the shit out of him at the original price that I have listed at 215. He's going to destroy Alvin Hines. Hines is a very unathletic heavyweight. He is currently listed at roughly plus 290 from Bet Online. The guy has been fighting, man, I hate saying this because, like, I'm pretty sure I'm shadow banned, but at this point I don't give a fuck. Been fighting fat heavyweights, fat, disgusting, know-nothing heavyweights. This guy's 7-0. In the promotion that I typically judge, I see guys like this who have very specific kind of records, body, like trucker type of body types that, you know, they do this for fun and then they get a nice little run because they've been beating bums, and now they give him a fucking real legit contender in Dinez. You know, Dinez is more of a legit contender than Alvin Hines is going to be. Give me Dinez to knock him out in the first round. This is very unfair for Alvin Hines. I don't think he belongs in the UFC. I think had obviously Tafa not gotten injured or pulled out, Hines would not be anywhere near their radar. Him getting a highlight reel, I'll say it, a low light reel head kick over this Billy Ray Valdez, rest in peace, my brother, one of the worst head kicks I've ever seen. It almost looked staged. So give me Dinez by knockout here, actual head kick. Next bout, very short notice bout. Just found out about this now. Had to do some quick research on Christopher Ewert. But we have Jackson McVey versus Christopher Ewert. Original opponent for McVey was Zydrunas Dumas. Trouble with the law, that one. And no odds currently, both undefeated guys. Ewert, what I come to find out, looks like a welterweight, fights at middleweight, has fought all the way up at light heavyweight, despite the fact that Tapology does not list it as such. You actually have to watch the fight. Seems pretty decent for a 7-0 guy, but like, this guy should be fighting at welterweight. This guy is 6'1", seems gritty, seems tough, literally looks like a out of shape almost, and not in a bad way. Like, I mean, if you were to take like a guy that's on this card in Amil, kind of looks like an out of shape Amil, but still kind of cut. He kind of fights that way, but lesser than him. For McVey, good submissions, decent enough finishing ability. All of his wins are by finish. I do view him, oddly enough, as a white Zydrunas Dumas. And what I mean by that is that prior to Dumas coming into the UFC, he was undefeated, had a ton of momentum on his way. He seemed very confident, and that's the way McVey fights. But he hasn't really fought anybody that can give him any trouble or anyone who's really been able to fight back. I mean, typically for McVey, he either chokes his opponents out well because he has super long arms, like 77-inch reach, good darces, good like barbo chokes, good guillotines, power guillotines. He should be able to maybe put Ewert in some trouble, but if he can't get him out of there in the first round, I'm curious what his might is come second and third. Excuse me. Ewert's been 3 rounds. He attacks the body decently well. He is not as good of a fighter, at least, as McVey. McVey, he can point fight if he needs to, but I have yet to see it at 3 rounds to a decision. I'm very up in the air about this one, so give me some leeway. I'm going to take Ewert on short notice. I was going to pick Dumas over McVey, primarily because I think McVey fights like an undefeated fighter, and that is sometimes not a good look. I mean, he can get finishes early, but what happens in the later rounds when he starts huffing and puffing, when his opponent, Ewert here, who will have, I would say, a durability up advantage because he's not really cutting weight, how's he going to like body shots from Ewert, who he has gotten a recent body shot knockout in one of his most recent fights? I'm wasting way too much time here. Give me Ewert either by decision or third round TKO, but again, very low tape. Can't really comment. Next bout, very difficult match for me because this is a lot of what if and what if this happens. Terrence McKinney, he is minus, he's gone down, minus 180, minus 160. I think some money has been coming in on Borshchev for the right reasons because Borshchev can take an ass whooping, but how long can he take an ass whooping for? That's why this is priced the way it is. If Borshchev has legitimately been finished in his last few fights, whether it be by submission, and he's been in some bad submissions and bad spots where he could have gotten TKO'd, but, you know, he's a tough guy, and he fights his way through it, and he recovers well enough to try to come back and win. He lost the second round to Fight of the Year contender recently in Nazim Sadikov, right? He gets brutally beaten and 10-8'd, comes back and wins the third round. So he has a lot of upside when it comes to him being plus money, and also the durability that could potentially still be enough to, you know, outweigh McKinney's, you know, lack of durability. He gasses himself out. He goes way too hard for the finish. And if he can't get it, he will start huffing. He will start puffing. And he kind of mentally breaks. So it's always a bit of a McKinney fade, but there's some upside to McKinney in the sense that if he fights smart, which he won't, if he can definitely come out here and put an ass whooping on Borshchev, but he's just so unreliable, and I applaud him for that. He will cash your unders. I don't think we should be shitting on Terrence McKinney. He is providing premium entertainment and cashing everyone's unders very easily. He is difficult to bet because he's going to either knock you out or submit you, or he's going to be brutally finished in some sort of way. But between both of these men, the one man who has been knocked out and unconscious more is McKinney. I'm going Borshchev to win in the later rounds, probably round number 2. He's not going to have a good time in the first round. He's going to stuff some takedowns. He eventually will give one up, get his ass beat, survive. Round number 2, he's going to put it on McKinney and eventually land to the body, make McKinney uncomfortable, and finish him there, or at least lead him to a pretty decisive decision. I hate this matchup, though, because there's so many hypotheticals, but give me Borshchev at that price. Next bout, Viviane Araujo, Tracy Cortez, ultimately going with Araujo. Cortez, I think the line is off. I think Cortez should be the favorite, but not this high, maybe minus 160, minus 150. Viviane Araujo, a bit more proven to me. I think she fights with a higher IQ. I think her striking defense and striking offense is cleaner. I think on top of that, her counter striking as well. She will have some wrestling. I just don't like the age. I think that's the primary reason why we're getting plus money on her, which is plus 185. Tracy Cortez, she can definitely come out here and surprise me, right? Like I always leave a little bit of a gap for, you know, from the previous fight to the now. She can make adjustments. I think she did make some good adjustments in the fight with Jazz Divisius, where her hands looked a lot better, a bit more confident with the striking. But then we see her against higher level competition in that of Rose Namajunas, and we see her giving up takedowns. Yes, that's a championship fighter, of course. Viviane Araujo also fought a championship fighter in this weight class at flyweight, which would have been that one girl who beat Shevchenko that one time that we all forgot about. Trains in Mexico. She's the one fucking Diego Lopez? Yeah, that girl. So with Viviana Araujo, I expect her to really dictate where this fight goes, stuffing takedowns, countering effectively. But she is getting older. But between the two, I would suggest I would assume that is she has the harder hitting punches. She's one of the few girls that can actually one punch knock out women. So give me Araujo by a decision. I think it could be a very, very close fight. I think Vivi might edge it out. Next bout, Hyder Amil versus Jose Delgado. I must say I hate this matchup because I think both of these men should be given different opponents. I think Hyder should be given a guy he can just run through that's not an up-and-coming dude, and Jose should be given another bum. Give him Bazooka, but I think he's on suspension due to God knows. Oh, he punched a fan. That's pretty funny. Props to Bazooka. You're growing on me. Jose Delgado, let me actually give you some narrative points about this. This is, in a way, a pride fight. Hyder Amil is the protege of Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert Melendez fought Delgado's protege, or Delgado's mentor, in Benson Henderson. Those two men fought for the lightweight title years ago, which was a split decision win for Benson Henderson. And that's the fight where he was going to propose to his now wife, win or lose. Luckily, the judges gave him the win. Very close. Some people thought Gilbert won. I think Hyder's the kind of guy that's going to take that motivation and try to prove a point. Give me Hyder in this matchup. I count Hyder out a lot, but the guy is incredibly gritty, and I don't pick against him because I don't think he's ballsy enough. This guy he's fun to watch. I just think sometimes there's certain matchups that I don't see him winning, and he still proves me wrong. And in this matchup, I think what he's going to use is not only his superior strength, because he's going to be the stronger between the two. I think he's got better wrestling. I think on top of that, despite the fact that I think Delgado might have better cardio, I think Hyder is way more comfortable in that fatigue state and can still operate very well in that fatigue state. Give me Hyder to win this one by a decision here. I think he does something similar to the fight with him and a much better fighter, in my opinion, in William Gomis. The fact that he beat Gomis the way he did with disturbed and busted up legs was impressive. Delgado, though, I still see some holes in his striking. I see a lot of potential in the guy. He's still very young, very good jiu-jitsu, very good striking ability. He reminds me of a much bigger, thicker Royval, and that's not a bad thing. Minus 155, I think, is a bit much. I think Hyder's way more proven, fought the better competition. There is a likelihood he could get finished here. He's not incredibly durable. I've seen this guy's eyes roll in the back of his head a few times, but it just pisses him off, and he goes out there and he does what he does. So respect to both of these men. Hopefully this is fight of the night. Hopefully I'm wrong about a decision. Hopefully they beat the shit out of each other until one of them goes down. But give me Hyder. I think he's way more proven in that fatigue state where he can do what he needs to do to win. And by that I mean edge it out with a gritty decision. Next bout, Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodrigues. Minus 185. Is that correct? He's minus 220 now. Jack Hermansson plus 155. Give me Rodrigues by a decision specifically. I think Rodrigues will have the same game plan, just a little more offensively sound and offensively decisive than Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer is Jack Hermansson's last win. Joe Pyfer won 2 of the 5 rounds against Jack. That is by walking him down, throwing a lot of power, and then he eventually gassed himself out. He didn't throw enough volume, and then he lost the remaining 3 rounds. Gregory, I think he definitely has learned his lesson from the Cannonier fight. He said he learned the fact that you can't go out there against high-level competition and try to finish him in the first round, or you're going to get tired, and you can't put everything behind every shot. I don't think Gregory's going to stop doing that. He will put everything behind every shot, but he's going to be way more patient, and he's going to use a lot more counter wrestling and some offensive wrestling against Jack Hermansson. Jack, he's been away for about 16 months. I heard him say in an interview I read that his body is more or less failing him, but not in those exact words. That's how I'm taking it. Like he's had injury, came from an injury against Joe Pyfer, and then he ended up winning that one, just kind of gritted him out, and then he's taken a longer layoff since that. I think Rodrigues is going to do what he does. I don't see Hermansson hurting him. I think Hermansson at this point at 37, he is going to be slowing down. And Rodrigues, even though he lost that fight to Cannonier, I think he learned a lot from it. Specifically, the fact is, in a 3-round fight, I think he's more comfortable. I think he tried to really put it on Cannonier to get him out of there because he thought, like many of us thought, like this guy is going to get clipped and he's not going to come back. But then, got killer gorillaed. Give me Rodrigues to have a very measured performance, very decisive, and win this one by a decision to kind of prove that he's back. If Gregory comes out here and finishes Jack in the first round, not by going ballistic, but by being technical, it will show me a few things. That Jack is definitely closer to retirement. He definitely is, but a lot closer than I expected. And or Gregory has finally evolved enough to have some good top control. I hate this guy's top control. He gives up position even when he has mount to lesser opponents. That's the one thing I hate the most about Gregory. High level jiu-jitsu, shit control time. Next bout, Peyton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. Minus 180 for Lima. Come back on Talbott is my plus 145. I hate to say this. I fucking hate it. I'm going Talbott to win this one by a decision. I am a big Lima fan. I am rooting for Lima. But from what I'm seeing is Lima might be a little too small. I think he's technically superior than Talbott. I think the odds on Talbott right now are, man, like he was minus 900 or so against Raoni Barcelos, and maybe I could be wrong, but I still think Barcelos was on some sauce for him to look that good against Peyton Talbott. I really don't think Talbott looked terrible. I just think that Barcelos looked a little too good. And like when you see his fight with Cody Garbrandt, why is Cody winning a round off of Barcelos in the first? Like I think Peyton would have knocked the fuck out of Cody. So I'm leaning towards Talbott here. The main reason is the reason I put it in my Discord. I feel like Peyton Talbott has injected enough Samoan DNA inside of his rectum to kind of embrace that body type. Like he seems like he has thick bones and a very solid chin. I think he's not the most technically gifted fighter, but I think he's good enough, but he's very athletic. And on top of that, I think if he hits Lima's not going to react the way I would hope he would react. If I see Miles Johns kind of clipping Lima and him kind of dropping, I think Talbott might be able to do some legitimate damage. I think Lima, again, is better everywhere, better jiu-jitsu, better wrestling, but he's not going to be stronger, I don't believe, than Peyton Talbott. I hope I'm wrong. I really am, but I think Talbott wins this one either by a finish or this is going to be Felipe Lima trying his best, but kind of getting intercepted with harder shots where he might eat more damage. And Talbott eats a lot of shots, right? He eats a ton. He's not defensively sound at times, but he doesn't get marked. And I don't know what it is about him. He's just fucking Kryptonian or some shit. Gay Kryptonian. Give me Talbott, unfortunately, by a decision here. It pains me. All right, main card here at lightweight. We got Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Originally stated to be the, I think, or primary card opener for the... I forgot the card number. It was the Sarukian card. Sarukian and Islam in LA. I was going to go to that card, and then luckily I didn't because then, Moicano took over, got submitted in the first round. No disrespect to Moicano for losing to Makhachev. It just was going to happen, right? I was rooting for him, but it was a long shot. Minus 154. Moicano come back on Dariush is plus 120. Originally, when this was first matched up, I had Dariush, and I'm not changing that opinion. I think Dariush, he's just as competent of a striker than Moicano. I think he hits harder. Unfortunately, I hate using this structure, but just to make it quick, the Gamrot structure, I think Gamrot might give Moicano a lot of trouble, leading him to lose a decision, but Beneil Dariush beat Moicano. Beneil Dariush beat Gamrot. And Gamrot's still kicking. Gamrot's a really good win. The wrestling, I think, is going to counteract itself. I don't think Moicano's going to be able to keep Dariush down and beat him up like he did Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis was way overrated. We've seen that. And on top of that, in the Saint-Denis fight, after he did a ton of damage to him, he significantly slowed down in the second round. So I do think that Moicano slows. I think that Moicano kind of relies way too heavily on his recent, wrestling and jiu-jitsu game, where I think at that point, Beneil Dariush, who can match him there, can be the fresher guy and start taking over round number 2. It's just that Beneil's durability is not the greatest. Moicano does have some good punching power. Give me Dariush, though, to win this one by a fun decision. This could be a sleeper. sleeper hit of the card where it could be a fight of the night. Next bout, we've got Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. See, the odds currently have it at, see, this is saying plus 100, which would have been nice, but odds have it minus 115 for Van, minus 105 for Royval. I'm leaning Van here for a few reasons, right? I like Royval. Royval is probably one of my favorite fighters. I've rooted him on. I actually met his aunt. It was awesome, right? I even told her, like, yo, I think he's going to be fighting for the title soon. She even confirmed, like, yes, he was told he's fighting for the title. Big fan of Royval. The thing is, with Royval, he's fighting the exact style that I've always pegged him to be the style to give him an issue. This would have been him fighting Manel Kape. Manel Kape pulled out. Previously, Royval pulled out due to a concussion issue. And Royval is primarily training with Alex Hernandez, which to me that indicates he's working on his wrestling, which is going to be good. Both of these men have incredible output, but the boxing of Royval, the long body of Royval, the way he leaves his chin exposed, the sometimes, I don't want to say pointless output that he throws, he just throws a ton to just kind of keep things in your face. I think eventually when Joshua Van starts timing things, he's going to attack the body. The head will be exposed. They're not too far off when it comes to reach. The height, obviously, it's like, 4 inches. But I think the experience that Joshua Van is getting now, him being on a 4-fight winning streak, beating the shit out of Bruno Silva, the way he did, the way he's timing things, him having so much cage time, it could be a double-edged sword where this dude might be overtraining or he's doing enough training in the actual fight that he is more than ready. He's shown excellent takedown defense and get-up game versus a good wrestler in Raya Tetsuda, and then he beat, to me, a high-level dude in Bruno Silva. So I think this is Van's moment, right? I would have loved those plus 100, which I expected him to be still. I think the odds on this was always kind of funky. I think Joshua started off at like minus 260, which was like stupid as shit. But Royval at flyweight, I don't know if he's got enough time left at flyweight. I know he's been talking about him moving up to a bantamweight if he doesn't get a title shot. I don't know if he deserves another title shot, though. That's the thing. Like, he already lost to Pantoja and lost to him twice, kind of decisively both times. I actually thought he'd do better the second time and kind of showed that, wasn't quite the guy. May the better man win here. Again, fan of both of these men, but I am leaning Van by either decision or third round TKO. I do think that when he starts landing to the body, the head's going to get exposed. And if a guy like Royval's getting dropped and hurt by like a Matt Schnell, who does have decent boxing, but he's Matt fucking Schnell. I think a guy like Joshua Van running on all cylinders, training with his coach in Daniel Pineda, who can give them similar looks in the sense of like guillotine chokes because he has nasty chokes himself. I think he can definitely defend some from Royval. I can even see him going for takedowns on Royval, but not engaging too much on the bottom. That'd be stupid as fuck. Just kind of getting the takedown, landing some ground and pound, and getting the fuck out. Winning points that way. It's going to be a great fight. Moving on, though. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Kara France 2. Now, they did fight originally in the Ultimate Fighter, an exhibition matchup, and, Kai Kara didn't look terrible there. I thought it would go to a third round. It ultimately went to Pantoja, who is minus 270, and Kai Kara is plus 210. There is some value in Kai Kara France, right? The way Pantoja's been winning is with his wrestling. His striking has developed a lot nicer. He has a hell of a chin. He has knockout power. He has good kicks. And the biggest difference here is that I think Kai Kara France has always been a good takedown defense kind of guy with good striking and good power. But I don't see any changes from the guy. He's still the same Kai Kara. Pantoja, despite him being the older guy, he is showing me more wrinkles in his striking. He's a little bit more technical. He's more willing to go forward and actually land a hard shot on you. And on top of that, if we want some narrative here, Pantoja's undefeated against men named Kai. So I don't think it's going to be any different. But I do think that this fight will go over. Maybe 3.5 to be exact. I do think it sees the fourth round. And I can see a decision from Pantoja. Here's the fight how I expect it to go. And it's not going to be pretty if Pantoja isn't getting these back takes and takedowns. Like, Pantoja's back take is a thing of beauty, man. Like, he will take it back. Oh shit! Like, the way he jujitsus is the way you should learn how to jujitsu. This guy's wrestling has improved from the first fight, years ago. He was kind of winging it, but now this guy is just so much more technical. It's just him working with American Top Team, working with the likes of the Gamrots and fucking Grant Dawson's. Like, I gush over what he can do in the cage. It's just sometimes he gets a little wild, and I think that's where Kai Kara can capitalize. This really is Pantoja's fight to lose. He has to have the cardio, because if Kai Kara France can defend those takedowns and start slowing down Pantoja, and it does reach round number 3, 4, and 5, that's where I can see him slowly starting to make these rounds closer, where they can be indistinguishable as to who the winner is. I will still go with Pantoja. I would love to see Pantoja get a submission over Kai Kara France. That way, when he's sticking his tongue out like he's doing the haka, I can just Photoshop him going like, getting choked out. That'd be awesome. Give me Kai Kara to win this one by a awesome decision here. Like, I think it's going to be a great fight once it starts hitting those later rounds. If Pantoja dominates here against Kai Kara France, which is what I'm hoping he does, it's really hard to not say that Pantoja is the greatest flyweight champion. Like, this dude is, like, I hate to say that we're running out of time with him, and it's going to be a sad day when he does get finished by knockout. He's never been knocked out. And if Kai Kara is the one who does it, it's going to suck, though. Like, I'm not going to mince words. Kai Kara is a threat. I don't see him knocking out Pantoja unless Pantoja is just fighting like a complete absolute retard. I don't foresee that happening. Hopefully not. Sometimes if you hit Pantoja, he'll go full retard. That's what I'm most scared about. Give me Pantoja by a decision. And then main event here, we've got Ilia Topuria, the legend Ilia Topuria, versus Charles Oliveira, do Bronx. Now, the odds ridiculous in the favor of Ilia, minus 420. Come back on do Bronx, plus 320. It's now ballooned up to minus 500 for Ilia, plus 375 for Charles Oliveira. Now, oh man, I'm a big Topuria fan. Have been for his whole UFC career. When I first saw him outside of the UFC, I thought he had potential. When I saw him in the UFC in short notice against, what is his name? The Moroccan Devil. I'm blanking out on him. His name is Yusuf Zalal. When I saw him beat Yusuf Zalal in short notice and decisively beat him, I was incredibly impressed. His boxing is shit. This dude is like mini Canelo. When we talk about Canelo hands, it's Ilia Topuria. It ain't Belal Muhammad. That's just depressing. He attacks the body beautifully, and he only really has like 3 main weapons: the left hook to the body, the overhands, like left hook, right hook, and a low calf kick. And then on top of that, he does have wrestling, the Greco-Roman background. He's a strong fucker, and he has a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Not as creative or as offensively, creative as Charles Oliveira, but he has solid BJJ, and he's very difficult to take down. Charles Oliveira is getting older. I think Charles Oliveira's prime is gone. At 35, he is still very dangerous, but it's if I'm being honest, man, I never thought Charles was ever going to have a prime. Like, this guy was, at least to me, a laughingstock. Like, this guy's getting hit and quitting. This guy gets hit with an overhand right by Cub Swanson, blinks, and then falls to the ground. Like, he's always been a guy that I've kind of pegged him as maybe not made for this kind of situation. Like, Ilia has been dropped with head kicks multiple times, which he has to be careful here. I'm sure he will. And he's gotten back up and come back and brutally finish that opponent. We talk about the Jai Herbert fight. And even back then, I was like high on Herbert. I'm like, yo, Herbert can do some damage here, but Ilia can get him to the ground and control him there, which he got dropped, took him down, controlled him. And then he said, fuck it, round number 2, I'm knocking this motherfucker out. Left him wide open with his eyes open. I thought he killed him. I see him doing something similar here to Charles. And to me, an undefeated fighter, that much confidence, that much power, up at a weight class, no one does that type of shit to Max Holloway. Charles's chin is not the best chin. If Ilia connects on him cleanly, Ilia's a much cleaner striker, much better boxer than a Michael Chandler, and Michael's able to hurt him in the first fight and in the second fight. I don't see how we don't have a new lightweight champion, greatest of all time. Now that John Jones is out of the picture, probably going to jail. Ilia Topuria, greatest fighter of all time. La Leyenda, Ilia Topuria, 2-time champ. Give me round number 2. I expect Charles to bring a frenetic pace in the first round, throwing everything he can, maybe trying to frazzle Ilia. But he's just too thick of a man. He hits too hard. And once he tickles that tummy of Charles Oliveira, I think he will find that quit button in him once again. If I'm wrong, of course, Charles is incredibly dangerous. I'm not here to downplay Charles, right? He's super fucking dangerous. And in that prime where he was beating everybody, finishing them, there's always been moments where you hit him, he'll flop to his back, and everyone's so afraid to chase after him. Oh, no, I'm going to get subbed. The one man who said, fuck it, I ain't a bitch, was Islam Makhachev. Ilia Topuria views himself on that same level as Islam. If he drops Charles and he does not finish him with that one shot, I expect him to go in there and land some more devastating shots because he can handle it. I think he's going to be the stronger between the two. Give me Ilia to get this done in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to say round number 2 to be safe. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. My ass is fucking out of here. I will see you in a few weeks.